Okay, episode 47. I think episode 41 I had Colin Charlesworth. We've got big brother in tonight, Martin Charlesworth. Welcome to you, Martin. I think, Martin, am I right in thinking you're currently head of youth at Lossy?
Not so much head of youth. Me and Kev Flack take a wee bit of ownership for the bottom half, if you like, the kind of foundation phase of it, the young stuff, but definitely not head of youth, mate. No, it's a lot of paperwork for that. I just like the coaching. It's paperwork for the head of youth.
That's the best way, mate. That's the best way. Less responsibility, more just shouting at people.
Indeed, exactly that, mate. But no, Lossy's kind enough to put me through my badges, do my UEFA C and that later this year, so they're standing good to their word, and just coaching the kids and that now, so enjoying it. It's good. Keep me involved.
It's good. I can relate. I'm on my UEFA C just now myself. I'm away to do my phase 3 in January. So yeah, it's
cool. It's
interesting, isn't it? It's like
you're working with Big Mo, though. I don't know if that's as interesting, is it?
Well, it's good habits and bad habits. Mo's pretty good. He leaves me to do a lot of the coaching in the training ground. He'll like, what are you planning tonight? And it'll be like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And I'll put on a session. He'll just step in and coach the technical stuff and things. But when it comes to match day, go and do the warm up, and that's what I do, and then he does the rest.
Good.
So,
decent.
learning on the job.
Good.
Ex clubs I'm going to go through, Martin, so see if I've missed anyone out here. Elgin, Lossy, Devonvale, Huntly, Carley, Ross County, and Buckie.
That's it. And I wanna. That's it.
Magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Start off with the same question as usual. I want to go. I'm going to split this into two because I want to go pre an age and post an age. Because post an age, I started seeing you at Elgin, and pre an age, I've not seen you. So, how good a football player was you a kid? What age did you realise you had a bit of potential? And we're going to go. Give me everything up to about 17, 18, because that was the time you started getting in the Elgin team, was it?
Yeah. I came on a couple of times when I was 16, but the way it worked is obviously when my dad being in the RAF, we moved around quite a lot. Germany, England, etc. We kind of came back here, having been from here originally at like 13. And up until that, I've got memories of my dad driving me around doing kids' festivals, five-a-sides, all that kind of carry on in Germany and different places in England. But it wasn't probably until came back here in 2001 when we were 13 that I started playing the boys' league, started playing school football, with not really taking yourself too seriously, just enjoying it. I mean, see some of the stuff that's on the go now. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds. It was 13 before. It was Tiger Porter actually that had said to my dad, need to get him in Elgin. So my dad's like, yep, spot on, he's keen. So probably 13, I would say, is when it started becoming a little bit more like playing age bands, playing other clubs, playing teams. Quite fond memories of that, actually. It was like Gordon Shanks, Graham Fraser, no longer with us, obviously, Davy Kerr. That kind of coaches that were just good guys, good folk, just coaching you, just getting you playing football at Elgin.
Davy's still involved now.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he does boys league and things like that, I think, as well, doesn't he? So 13, I would say, is kind of when it started, and then I feel like plugging away with Elgin until I was maybe like 16. And then my debut, I found the team lines last night actually in advance of coming on just to see dates and stuff. 16, came off the bench against Queen's Park in what would have been Division 3. Few fleeting appearances just off the bench, nothing too dramatic. And then from there, I ended up moving on to Ross County. So that next wee cluster between like 16 and 18 just seemed to have felt like a wee bit of a whirlwind. It happened quite quick going from Elgin to Ross County. What happened? I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the skill seeker thing that Elgin tried to set up? The kind of lights. Yes, so they tried to go.
Somebody brought this up not that long ago. I don't remember who.
So long story short is Elgin tried to go full time, and I was one of myself, I think Fraser Bremner, Stuart Knight, and then a lad Callum Reid. I don't know if you know Callum Reid. If you remember that name. I don't think he plays anymore. The four of us were invited to join full time, and a gentleman called Kenny Black from Aberdeen came in and he brung over likes of Ian Vigors, Gary Wood, Martin Donald, all these kind of names from his boys club in Aberdeen, and tried to form what was ultimately a full-time kind of scholarship program where you'd left school. I remember signing that. I can't remember how long I was there. I don't really remember the ins and outs, but I ultimately traded in Elgin and ended up going to Ross County that year. Not long after I kind of made my debut, come off the bench, ended up going to Ross County. Enjoyed that. There was a couple of Elgin lads there already, like Jordan Main, Kev Duquette. They were already up there. So I kind of knew that, a few faces up there. The Skill Seeker program, I think, never really took flight, and it ended a year later. And ultimately, I'd already kind of gone to County. Done quite well there, scored a lot of goals, had a particularly good cup run, and we ended up playing in the Scottish League Cup final, I think it was, against Airdrie at Hamilton's pitch. Beat them 1-0, and I scored the goal in that final. We won 1-0, and that was quite good. And kind of verbally had a couple, you're going full time next year. We're kind of, that's the end of the hazing process. You'll be getting full time. And then it didn't happen. So obviously I'd left school, put my chips in the basket. We're going with the Elgin thing. Went to Ross County, and then kind of got released on the back of that. So that was tough. Remember being quite upset about that. I think I maybe cried for the best part of a week, actually. That was getting to tell you when I go full time. Yeah, it wasn't a great. What do I do now? And I remember my dad coming to me and saying, look, just had County Thistle on the phone saying, can't believe he got released, can't believe you didn't take him. Does he want to come to Austria for pre-season for 3 weeks with the under-19s? So, yeah, I mean, this has happened so quick from the point of boys club, school football, coming off the bench for Elgin, gone to County and done that, and then literally again within the space of like the next 12 months ended up going to get on a plane and going to Austria with the Cali under-19s, and the first team were there as well. So I'm kind of on this plane thinking, how's this happened like so quick in the space of such a short space of time?
It's a Cali team of the rise as well.
It was good. So in that team we had Rory McAllister, Stuart Soane. That's where I met Xander Sutherland, another good guy. Brian Clark, who's now at juniors in Dundee. I think he's played for just about every junior club going, but he made about 20 appearances for Dundee and that as well. It was a decent team. So I went for a 3-week trial. 2 weeks in Austria, I was like, we'd really like to sign you for the first for the 19s. So I ended up getting that done. So it kind of just really quickly just snowballed from moving back, playing boys league, playing school football, doing quite well with Elgin to the point that I kind of got pushed up, and then County and then Cali, and got a year, probably just over a year full time at Cali, which was a good experience, waking up having football all day, every day. Playing against some good teams, some good clubs that have got probably players in it now that have gone on and made good careers out of it when you rub shoulders and play well. But it probably happened too quick. I'd say maybe the Cali thing, I was probably forever reaching. Maybe didn't help that Rory was particularly good. When he went up to the first team, I kind of came into the team. And then when he got punted back down out the first team, it was probably me that made way in that team and that setup, which that's football. That's how it works. But found myself like in training, kind of putting things on Rory's head and then screaming in front of, brilliant Rory, really good Rory, can get him the fuck out my way again to get him up. But good. That was a good experience. And then a year later, got released by Cali, and then came back to Elgin, probably on the memories and the points that you're away to hit us with just now. But Cali was an experience. It was good getting to taste that, getting to sample that, and met a coach called Stevie Campbell, who I speak really highly of when I speak to people. He came up from, I think it was Dundee United, and when Craig Brewster left to go to Dundee United, he took Stevie with him. So Stevie was the 19s manager, and none other than Scott Kelliker was the assistant, who's now Cali's actual manager. So that was the coaching team up there for the 19s, so that was good. So ultimately it didn't go any further than that. That happens, that's football, but great experience nonetheless.
Good grounding for you as well, like learned a lot.
Incredible. I just remember thinking, like, how has this gone so quick from 100 mile per hour from boys league school football? Getting off the bench for Elgin, getting asked to go full time with Elgin. Ross County really enjoyed. I kind of fitted in really well there, scored a lot of goals, and then Cali, but I was maybe just reaching a little bit. That was maybe just a step too far, too quick, and then ultimately released and came back to Elgin ultimately. Yeah.
Right, we'll get back into Elgin in a second, but just kind of going back a little bit, did you have, like, who you looking up to? Always been a striker, I take it?
Always been a striker.
Yeah.
Probably just towards the end at Huntly, guy Tommy Wilson played me a little bit deeper, but it was still in a striker role. Always been a striker. Always liked strikers. My game probably changed over the year, where I probably was quite fast when I was younger. If you tell anyone now that I was fast, they'll probably laugh at you, because probably just know me for like back to goal holding the ball in, linking it up, keeping possession and getting on the end of crosses, things like that. So my absolute idol growing up was Mark Viduka.
What a player.
Incredible.
What a player.
Incredible.
That is someone who just doesn't get enough recognition.
Just big Leeds fans, obviously, with my dad being from Leeds, and obviously that era when I started to watch it, and he's putting his team, kind of ramming it down your throat. It was like the Champions League days for me. And just did like Alan Smith. I think there's a few people might say, was Smith not your man? I remember bleaching my hair blonde because Alan Smith and that as well. Like I did like him, but Viduka was the one for me. Like, so
just like I don't see how Drogba gets the credit these days. Viduka was doing that 10 years before Drogba, you know.
I think the thing with, like, when people that know football and watch it, like he's manipulating the defender with his body shape, not only for what he's going to do, but he's dictating like the next phase of play with just by the way that he stood with the angle that he's receiving the ball. Now, he was, some of his finishes and that was good. So he was ex-Celtic as well, obviously, but he was probably my hero growing up.
Big strong arse on him. And I remember that. It was like the best football players have got strong arses. I always say Ronaldinho had like just the strongest arse on him because he's just holding off players the whole time, you know.
Like Beyonce,
it's good. Right, Martin. So kind of going back to Elgin, I remember you being in the Elgin team young. Right, so I've been going. We're actually getting into this a few episodes. So I've been to see Elgin since about 2003, but it's been fleeting. I've only seen them consistently for probably in the last 10 years or so. Schalliker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a fair statement to say that Elgin's evolved over the years to the point that they're now making statements about like going for the league, playoffs, things like that. When I went there, the squad was probably a bit thinner, which probably helped my case a little bit as well in terms of coming from Cali. But I maybe won't play down, particularly the first season. I think as a teenager, I was 18, and it was Brian Irvin that took me back. Well, Tats and Tiger again. When I got released by Cali, I remember Tiger and Tats all over my dad saying, "Let's get him back. You better not be going Highland League. You better be back here." And I remember Tats in particular, probably Tiger pre-going to County and Cali having a big hand, but certainly Tats and they're coming back. 18, and I enjoyed it. But again, it's just adding to that whirlwind of like that last 3-year period of like how I've gone from the school to that, and now I'm signed as a first team player. I'm probably playing more than I expected to in the sense that just where the squad was at, and that particular season I think I ended up like 18-year-old, I ended up with maybe like 11 goals in Division 3. Had injuries as well, wasn't always available and things like that. I remember getting off the bench and scoring 2 against Stenhousemuir in the Cup. Sid Mackay, Brora manager now, put 2 crosses into the front post and kind of was streaky. I then maybe got another one away to Berwick, and then maybe a few games dry spell, typical young kind of player. And then maybe 2 against Montrose, followed up with 2 against Dumbarton, and then another dry spell. And then it's typical kind of traits of like just a young striker, maybe making that transition between youth football and adult football, if that makes sense.
Try to think of who will be the older heads when you're coming into that dressing room.
There was some good ones. I probably
you play likes of David Hind and things like that.
Hindsley, I probably wasn't the most easiest of people to deal with. Dealing with all that, being released, getting signed, Cali, being released again, coming in that changing room, being from Elgin, around going schools around Elgin, and that, like it meant a lot to me getting into that Elgin team. Do you know what I mean? I wanted it so bad, and that's kind of maybe didn't handle some situations just quite the best, but loved it there. I mean, Martin Johnston, what a guy to play with, and that. I mean, we'll speak about my 11 later on, but Shally as well to a point. But I looked at Martin Johnston, I was like, there's more to this. You don't have to run so much. You don't have to like just go gun ho into everything. I mean, he was kind of like less is more. Stop moving, stop running, just stand, just change your body, move a yard. And I mean, Martin Johnson, Sid Mackay, Craig Campbell, all good players that had played higher, been at County and that as well. They were David Hines, Hugh Dixon, Shuggy, he was there when I went there. And
see the Irish lad?
He was, aye. And probably the best of the lot. I mean, Alan Dempsey, who was, I think he'd been at Hibs and ended up going again, went to Ayr United. And
were you involved, right? I'm going to point back to something. It was episode with Scott McDonald, been about episode 39, Ryan, 40, something like that.
I think it was 41. It was just after Coco, wasn't it?
Yeah, just round about then. They pointed back to a game that happened in our Broth where Hugh Dixon got sent off for like a waist high challenge. Were you involved in that game?
Aye, was it not like a melee in the tunnel after? Did it not involve maybe Willie Martin, do you remember him? He played Elgin and Arbroath. I thought he was in the thick of it as well.
So there was about 22 people involved, and the referee actually ended up getting in trouble for only sending 3 players off that night. So
right.
yeah, it was.
I was there. I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. I just the details of that, man. I mean, I had to put the box. I had to find some own dates for myself, let alone dates for what Shuggy was up to. But
as you say, we'll get on to Martin Johnson things, but like it's still a decent enough Elgin team. It's guys you're going to learn from. It's guys that have got a bit of experience as usually playing higher up.
There was one year we were quite close to playoffs. I'm not sure if it ever fully turned into like a proper playoff shout, but the way the table landed in the end, I think we were quite close. But I think the second season maybe that was there out of the 2, or the first out of the 2, it was avoid bottom was the remit, and that's the reality of where it was at the time. You know what I mean?
Yep. And like as mad as it is, Elgin are still fresh in the league at that point. You've only been in the league 5-6 seasons, you know. And
I agreed, but again, it's evolved a lot. And I think Hale's brilliant. I mean, he knows his stuff and that.
Yeah.
Had a couple of meetings with him previously, Highland League days, and I think he'll do well. He doesn't leave anything to chance. I think where Elgin are now versus where they are then, but I still take nothing away from the fact that it was an honour and a pleasure to play in the first team at Elgin so young and score some of the goals that I did and play with likes of that people, and I kind of look back at that quite fondly. That's a good time.
Yeah. One more on Elgin before we move on, Martin. Did you play with a young Soapy?
In the youth system, yes, he kind of broke through after I moved on, not first team wise, but again, how outstanding he's done since he's got in there. Do you know what I mean? He's been brilliant. Big boy now. He was never that big when we were younger, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Would you have envisioned him almost 550 games for Elgin?
In the youth, no, but when you look at him now and you watch him strolling about, it looks like he'd probably do another 500 more, to be honest. He does, doesn't he? He does. He's done really well for himself. It's good to see.
Yeah, good lad. Right. Who's the best player you've played against in your career, Martin? You can give me a few answers.
I thought long and hard about this one. Don't start name dropping heaps of people from that 1 year at Cali as if I played against them regular, because I didn't. But there was a guy when we went down to Celtic with Cali and we got stuffed about 6-1. And there's a boy called Jim O'Brien, and he went on to play for Ross County, Motherwell, St Mirren.
Ended up my manager.
Did he?
Yeah.
He was incredible. I remember him just gliding past people with the ball, socks down, just didn't look like he broke sweat, almost like we were inconveniencing him, like being there that day, making him play that fixture, if that made sense. And he was just, he was incredible. And I sometimes still think, I got back on the bus, I remember like chuckling and giggling to myself. I'm like, yeah, there's levels to this game. Do you know what I mean? And he was good. He went on to Coventry and Barnsley and that in the Championship and stuff. And I thought he was just someone that stands out as like, you think you're doing okay. There's levels to this, if you know what I mean. So he was good. He was good.
Anyone in particular in the Highland League that used to give you a pain in the arse? Any defenders, central defenders that didn't?
I'm going to reluctantly say it because they'll probably like to hear it, but Forest Mechanics in general were a bogey team for me, and they were a pain in the arse. Yeah. And
was that the team that like Neil White and that involved in?
Probably a bit later than that, yes, to a point. I'd probably say like for years in the Highland League, they were the only Highland League team that I hadn't scored against. Okay. And it became a thing for me. And I remember
that for a while.
Went on for ages. Yeah. It went on for ages to the point I was like, any chance these boys just like getting relegated or getting out of this league, just do something about it, because it's I mean, Knighty actually saved a couple of my penalties. I put things up from under the bar, over the bar. It became a thing. Like, I could score, someone could hit my bum and go in against Vale. Someone could hit my arse and go in against Fraserburgh. I mean, even against Cove, I had a bit. Forest Mechanics, for whatever reason, it just became a running joke in my head. And I think they knew it as well. That's what I know. I think they knew it as well. It was a pain in my arse. So yeah, for a more level playing field of where my career ended up, I will say Forest Mechanics were a pain in the arse.
Big tough team though, isn't it? You know,
Nathan Sharp and Grapey's read it quite well. One went, one dropped, and that, and they kind of suffocated supply, and that they were high. They went on to win the league as well. To be fair, that similar kind of team.
They had the Frasers, and they had.
They were all helped, but they were all like 8'5" or something as well.
What's the guy? He's the head teacher at Elgin Academy.
Kyle Scott. 8'5" again as well.
Yeah. Big lads, big Charlie as well. Wee Charlie, but right. Flip side of the question: best you've played with?
Again, reluctantly going to say it, and trust me, I have come up with loads of ways to not have to say this, but I think it would be wrong of me to not say Xander Sutherland.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And again, only because we'd done the Cali thing together. We were obviously roommates in that as well, along with the boy from Dundee, Clarkie, that I spoke about. We'd done the Cali thing together, And he was good. He was very good. Probably got a few opportunities first team in that as well, thinking back. We kind of done the Elgin thing together, and then obviously we had some real glory days at Buckie together. And yeah, he was a little shit, but he was a good. He was a team player as well. Like, a lot of assists. If he was going through and it was on for a cutback, and he would do it. He wasn't like selfish with it in the sense that both feet, low centre of gravity and stuff. So trust me, I've come up with a million ways to try and not say him, but it would be wrong of me not say him. So I'll say Xander would be right up there.
Would you reckon he's, in the last maybe 10, 15 years, the best wide player the Highland League's seen? It's hard to.
That's a huge.
I'm struggling to think of anyone else who's been that consistent over that period of time.
When you think of what we've done at Buckie, he kind of went and done it again with Brora as well. I think you would build a case for that. Mm-hmm. But even if that is the case, I'm not admitting that on camera. I'm afraid. No, he's not. He's not getting that.
Right, this is a question I've started introducing recently. What's your very, very first taste of adult football, Martin? Very first adult game you think, oh, this is different?
It would be that little cluster before I moved on to Ross County and Cali of kind of getting off the bench. And I think the whole Skill Seeker YTS thing that Elgin done was to get that going nice and early. Even like the North of Scotland Cup games, you were getting in. Like, I mean, the Lossy testimonial there at the weekend, there was a heap of 17, 18, 19-year-olds for Elgin coming on.
Yeah.
Elgin have always been pretty good at doing that, certainly like with North of Scotland Cup fixtures and things like that. But I think getting that little taste just before going to Ross County and Cali when I was like 16 and stuff, and what a team to do it with and that obviously as well. So, yeah, good.
You remember anything? Because we've spoke about this recently. There seems to be that gap just now between youth football and, you probably deal a bit about this yourself with 15, 16, 17-year-olds where they're needing maybe that year in the juniors or the year in welfare, going just get game time, get legs, get games under the belt.
I hear people speaking about that a lot. And
do you think that's missing?
I think it's there. I just think it's about people being sensible and using it. Like, for example, Loss United's got a really good junior team.
Yeah.
They've now introduced a welfare team, and you've got the Highland League team there. And there's probably politics in every town. I mean, I think about Fraserburgh and Fraserburgh United working together and feeding through, and whether it's Elgin Loss. I mean, it's not my job to run clubs or pass comments. There's people probably raising their eyes by going, but we can't deal with him because he's there. We can't deal. But if towns used the junior team and the welfare team to their advantage, everybody could be a winner. So do I think it's a good idea? I think a lot of the stuff that Stevie Campbell was driving home at Cali, to me, probably never sank in until I was playing men's football, and the importance of not losing the ball at the halfway line. Sid Mackay, Craig Campbell firing that ball up to you. You're giving the ball away at the halfway line. You hear about it, you know about it. You maybe just don't get that playing in youth teams, if that makes sense. No. So 100%, I think if you're 16, 17, 18, I think you should be knocking on the door of junior teams and welfare teams anyway and saying, I'm going to go run riot in this because I'm wanting to get in the Highland League and I'm wanting to get into Elgin City. So I'm all for people when they get to 17, 18, I think they should be sampling men's football because there's points at stake, there's win bonuses at stake and all that stuff that you should have learned by now. It's a matter of saying, well, there's no better learning ground than on the job, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, you're not playing. If you want to play competitive football, you surely want to push yourself to get the highest level possible.
Oh, if I'm coming off a bench at 16 years old, there's a lot of kids in the area now in systems now that I think at 16, 17 should be knocking on Lossie's door or pushing the Forest Mechanics manager to say, like, I need to do something with this kid. He's good enough to be playing, but I need to get him some games. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's adult football for people when they are ready to go and learn on the job. 100%. Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of this only playing 15-year-olds against other 15-year-olds up to a certain age, and then all of a sudden it's thrown straight into if they're good enough, and it's like, well, they still need that breeding ground. You need to learn to take an elbow in the face. You need to learn when to pick and choose your battles are 50-50 and things like that.
You just mentioned Soapwear just now. He was not always 6'4", 6'5". So I suppose it's about physically they need to be ready to handle it. But
yeah,
I suppose that's up to the club's head of youth, the club's managers, the committee to say, we've got this kid now and he's probably needing a little bit more than playing in front of no crowds and playing for no real prizes. Let's find him a home, sign him on maybe a 2-3 year deal, go and give him to somebody for a year, and then I think that's the way it should be going.
It's I totally agree. I worked in youth football a good bit myself, Martin, and I don't know if you're finding this yourself, but a lot of kids these days are maybe getting through the net and getting picked up, not necessarily because of technical ability, it's just that kid's fast, you know, and he's proper fast, and like, we can do a lot with speed, and it's like, well,
it's a modern game now. You look at the Premier League, the amount of people that are just, again, 6'5", can do 100 meters in whatever time, and they're making a career out of it. And it's just the way that obviously the way football's going. And I suggest our level, it's the same. It's if you can get somebody that's similar. Look at Coco.
Yeah.
Coco was a flying winger, and he was a bit of a late developer with probably his goals and his assists and everything, but he was just a flying machine. Do you know what I mean? It's so
lost his first touch.
So he never found one either. So I think if it's used properly, and I think if clubs are in unison and they're on the same page as to what they're trying to do with that kid, then the sooner you can have some grumpy 30-year-old screaming down your neck to not give the ball away or to get you across your man or get back in, then I think you'll learn a little bit quicker than you do playing.
I totally agree. Right, here's an interesting. I don't think I've ever asked this on the podcast. No, I maybe asked your brother, but I don't think I did. I asked him about you. What's it like playing football underneath your dad?
Tragic. It's
a great word for it.
No, it's, you know what? It's funny because I'm now coaching my kids' team, and I see the same traits and the same things happening that I used to kind of give him stick for, if that makes sense. So Charlie, for example, Charlie, his man management was why people wanted to follow him everywhere. There's no, like, Mark McMullen, Fletty, the Archibalds, Minnie. You ask these boys, like, my dad could get a job tomorrow, they would follow him. They'd go with him because his man management, the way he treated them, the way he made them feel. And I think his man management was his asset as a coach. I, however, didn't get that man management. Do you get what I mean? I'm seeing it with my own kid already. So prime example, because I obviously knew this question was coming, was not long after signing for Devonvale from Buckie, I had a wee bit of people to win over. Obviously, I'd had some particularly good years against Devonvale for Buckie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm kind of thinking I need a big game here. I need something. I wouldn't mind just maybe 1-0 win, get a wee hat trick or something, or go and steal a shot, something like that. So I had Devonvale at Vibrora at home. And they had Xander, they had Sid, Golobec, Tokley, and just that team that they'd kind of just got together. It's gone on to be very, very successful.
Yeah.
And we beat them 5-0 at home. I remember Xander, wee shite that he is, got a red card and got sent off. And I got a hat trick that day. It was a good hat trick, penalty, header, there was a finish. Really good hat trick. And I remember being in the changing room, sat there with a match ball, and I'm thinking, great, that's what I needed. And he's away in front of everyone, brilliant, love it, all that. So I'm sat there and he's going round the room and he's going to Minnie, brilliant, clean sheet, absolutely fantastic. He's like Scott Fraser, Colossus, Man Mountain. He's going to Graham Watt, brilliant. Goes to Craig Cowie, comes to me and he goes, done. Taps you on the head, move on to the next one. Oh, brilliant. Goes round the room, like that. I'm thinking, you dick, you dick. So I used to then, on a Sunday, go down to my mum's for my Sunday dinner every Sunday, sit around the table, and that's when he would go, brilliant yesterday, love it, wee man, brilliant, put your arm around me and that, like, build you up. So cotton on, like, he's not doing that in the change room in front of the rest of the players, but over my roasties and over my chicken and my tatties, I'm this great player. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm having none of this. So got that hat trick, and I'm sat there on the Sunday, and it's coming here. My mum sat there, and no, he sat there. My mum sat there, and he goes, I just want to say, son, brilliant. Yes, see, back to goal. See, hold that way, you got across your man. I went, nah, dinner. What do you mean? I goes, nah, I don't. I said, should have said that yesterday in front of everybody. He's like, what do you mean, like? So me and him's going at it, and listen, you can't take anybody seriously when they're pointing mashed tatties at you on a fork, and we are going at it across this table. And my poor mum's just sat like, gravy, anyone? I'm like, that's done with. So all that great man management that he's known for, I see none of it. But no, it works both ways, and that, like, he knew after the Buckie thing, and how good that was. I did kind of think, like, what's next for me? Who's the next manager that I'm going to really enjoy playing for? And he did get a tune out of me at Vale. He knew how to use me. He knew potentially my back to goal game on that big, like, Vale pitch, and you had Graham Watt one side, Coco the other side, loads of legs, loads of pace, up, back and through, and he got a tune out of me, and I loved playing for him. But I kind of get it now, coaching my own kids' team, how it's very hard for you in front of everyone else to go, brilliant today, you were fantastic today. And my kid's probably already getting it already, where I'm like, I'm at home or I'm in the car going, oh, this sweetie's wee man, brilliant today. And then I'm thinking, that's you at the Sunday dinner table. You need to watch that. So, so it had goods, it had bad. And I remember another one at Lossy where I was on a hat trick and we were winning like 4 or 5-0. It might have been Fort William. Somebody were playing, I can't mind. I was on a hat trick and I seen people getting warm up. I knew it was coming. So he's thinking, I need to give people minutes now. I'm trying to keep the squad happy. And I see people warming up and I'm like, don't you do it. And I see it like come off. I'm like, you fucking dick. Honestly, it took me off. So I remember that night sending him a big long text message saying, you don't give people minutes on my game time. Big long text. So again, Sunday dinner the next day, there's Yorkies everywhere, there's roast tatties everywhere. I'm like, great. Amazing. So, so that was that.
Oh, your mum just loved it when you retired.
Oh, stop them not invited for Sunday dinner anymore.
Oh, okay. This might actually follow on very nicely. What's it like playing with your brother?
Again, I only done the one season at Lossy, 1.5 with the kind of failed comeback. That I played with him at Vale, so it was under the dad and as well, and I did enjoy it only because I felt like Coco kind of came of age in that little Devon Vale spell. Yeah. I thought that pitch was a match made in heaven for him, and that ground suited him, and I did enjoy it. I thought Colin was quite unselfish, to be honest. He did look for you quite a lot. He did look for crosses, did look for cutbacks, wasn't worried about his own stats and that. And I actually really enjoyed playing with him. But as I'm always banging on to the kids and that coach just now, is this whole football thing is it's just a journey, right? And it's like you find your level. Football's got a way of washing out where you belong in football, and you end up where you end up. But it's kind of who you share these things with. And when you've had a bond with somebody in a changing room, like that Buckie team, that Devon Vale team, I mean, the Lossy changing room, seen all that boys back there on Saturday. So to be able to experience all that and do it with both my dad and my brother was particularly enjoyable. Awesome, I mean, there was some people never get to play Highland League football. Some people never get to play competitive football, get paid for it, anything like that. I got to do it with my dad and my brother and a pretty good team, a young, energetic team. And we had some good Scottish Cup runs, Linlithgow and away to such places and that, and you're on the bus and you're having a laugh and stuff. So it was particularly nice to be able to, and that was the driving force when the Buckie thing kind of ground to a halt for various reasons and everyone was moving on. With them two both being there, that was the deciding factor as to why I did want to go there and just experience that with them, if that made sense. And I don't regret that. That was an enjoyable period and a good team. And yeah, I thought Colin in particular had kind of learnt his trade and he was pretty good by then, and it was enjoyable playing with him. Yeah,
he says he'd learnt his trade at Lossy and then he'd get to kind of become a player when he moved on from Lossy.
I don't think he should have gone to locals, by the way. I thought they were quite a really good possession-based team, which I'm sure Colin won't mind me saying isn't his game. He's so deadly on the counter-attack, and I mean, it's almost like less touches are better with him. It's kind of just like his runs are clever, his timing's fantastic, and he can finish and he can deliver, but yeah, that Devon Vale team is probably as good as I've seen Colin. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, I think there was a few in his 11 from that team as well. I really enjoyed his football. Okay, so I switched through these. I'm just going to go, see if I can do this in order. So you go Elgin, Lossy.
Nope.
No, I've got that wrong already.
Elgin, Buckie, sorry.
Devon Vale.
Yeah.
Lossy.
Yeah.
Huntley.
Yeah.
Lossy again.
Yeah, after a 3-year period out of the game with the injury and that. But that's the correct route, mate. Yeah. So it was the Wills that signed me for Buckie from Elgin. Can't remember what happened to Elgin. The timing maybe just felt right.
Who was the manager when you left Elgin?
It was Robbie Williamson, but it was nothing to do with him. I actually really liked Robbie Williamson. I can't remember. I'd like to say that there was something behind it, and I genuinely just don't think there was. I think the travelling with Elgin, you're up and down the road. I was one of maybe only 2 local lads getting on the bus myself, meeting the rest of them at Perth, meeting the rest of them at Glasgow and stuff. I mean, and I'd loved it. I just, at the time when, you know how football works, Buckie had started to maybe sniff around, I sensed what they were trying to do and what they were going after. Yeah. And it was training with 20 boys twice a week. I'll not lie and say I was picking up peanuts either. It just made a lot of sense to me at the time. And that's a decision that I don't regret. I kind of wish the Elgin thing had prolonged, but in the same sense, it led me to the Buckie thing, which was arguably my best days. So no regrets on that sense. So it was the Wells that signed me. And then they got sacked soon after, probably because they signed me, to be fair, but they got sacked soon after, and it was Greg Carroll that came in. And I mean, say what you want about Greg, about the way he conducted himself. Greg was brilliant for me, and he was a brilliant manager, and he came there with ready success. He'd already done it at Vale, and I just remember him almost bursting the changing room door open, and the worst kept secret in the world that he was up in the stand and that, and came in and his speech was something along the lines of, we're away to win the league. We're away to win the league a couple of times. If you want to be a part of it, great. If you dinner, just let the club know, and kind of walked out again. And it was so, he came in and that was good. And then obviously from there, went to Vale with my dad. Could probably circle back to the Buckie stuff on your next question, but went to Vale with my dad. And then I'd done 3 years there. Well, done 2 years with him. And then he left. And Ali McLeod, another one who's no longer with us, obviously, Ali. He came in and was different. Every manager that I've played for, I've 100% just given them it all. I've watched them, obviously, do my own coaching badges, and I'm already thinking about the kind of coaching manager that I'd like to be. But he was different, and he had a lot of ideas at the time. People kind of maybe screwed their face up at, and a lot of it's in play now, like the TheraBands and data, and he was maybe just probably trying to implement it at the wrong time, because it's kind of everybody's doing it now, to be fair to him.
See a lot of that, people ahead of their time.
Yeah, and I thought, so once it ran its course with Ali, there were some good things happening at Lossy. You had obviously Minnie, Fletty, the Archibalds, Connor, Ryan Stewart, Scotty Miller was going back. There was a team under my dad who had now gone there, getting assembled, that I thought, this could be quite a competitive team to go play. Obviously, every club that I've got in here, there's a shitload of travelling with it.
Yeah.
Lossy would have been the first IV postcode kind of that I've been in. And if you're like the AB postcode side of things, see when games are off and there's training, you're at Sports Village, you're at West End, you're at Hazelhead and that. So I thought, this is actually looking like a quite competitive team. And I had friends in that changing room, and I thought, I'm going to go and give that a stab, because I'd never done the Lossy thing, despite the fact that my dad and my brother had been there so long. I'd never played with them, so I thought this could be quite good.
Had there always been wanting you at Lossy?
Yeah, but I think my dad was very respectful of the fact that from Elgin and Buckie and the things that I'd maybe done at the time, and for that maybe just kind of wasn't right. And don't mean that disrespectfully either. There was just maybe other opportunities that I could have had at different times, and again, don't regret any of it. But
was there anyone as well as Buckie at the time, Martin, that you possibly would have went to?
Well, yeah, as this Lossy move, I'll tell you that in 2 seconds, but when I was leaving Elgin, I'd actually given Nairn my word that I was going to go instead of going to Buckie. And they were doing the names and the squad numbers and everything, so I'd actually met Les Fridge in the Mansfield, picked my squad number and everything. I was meant to be going through that Saturday to play in a friendly and sign. Mark and Murray Duncan came to my living room to sign me and said, look, this isn't happening. We're taking you to Buckie. This is a crack and that. So then I'm phoning Les. How's it going, pal? Looking forward to Saturday. I'm like, about that. Change of plan kind of style. But going back to Lossy, they were obviously getting things in order just to get the transfer fee. It wasn't a lot going from Vale to Lossy by this point. And then I get a text off of what was, I think, Dippy Dolan at the time saying, Martin, that's John Sherrin at Cove asked for your phone number. And Alan Hale at Keith's asked for your phone number. I've told them you're leaving Vale. I was like, Dad, we've got a problem here. But the Cove thing was just travelling again. It never really took flight, never really materialised in anything. Went and sat with Alan Hale at Keith, went and met him. Very detailed guy. Can see why he's doing so well at Elgin. Can't speak highly enough of him. But I think my mind had already just been made up that I wanted to go and do the Lossy thing for once and just go and try it, if that makes sense. But Alan understood that. Hale's like, look, anything changes, let me know. Went to Lossy. Done that one season and then my dad fucks off again. That's nice of him. Do you know what I mean? So I'm on the phone to Hale and a kind of chance that still. But then Tommy Wilson out of the blue, played against him a lot. He was at Locos and that. He'd phoned and said, look, fancy one last move. Fancy coming to Huntly. We're taking over. I says, yep, no problem. Again, told me the kind of people he was signing and stuff, and it appealed. So went to Huntly. 29 at this point, and then I broke my ribs. Broke 2 ribs, still not healed properly. It's got a bit of cartilage stuck in it. So I'm kind of stood like this at times when it's particularly bad, and I think that's impacted the back. And yeah, a couple of failed attempts to get myself back on the pitch, and then Huntly were like, well, look, don't want to lose you. You're very experienced. We're paying you. Do you fancy getting involved in the coaching staff?
Yeah.
I said, well, yeah, I do. I'm not done with football yet. I'm only 29. Of course, I'd love to, but that never really got going in the sense that every night that there was training, I was like, right, you take this session and stuff. It was like the physio can see you tonight. And then I'm waiting for things back from Booper and things like that. And it just became a shambles to the point I actually said to Huntley, look, just stop paying me. I'm feeling absolutely shocking about this as it is. Like, just stop paying me. I need to go and get myself fixed. And they completely understood. And again, it was 3 years. It was out. Wife had a couple of kids, bought a business and that. And you just it just gets further and further away into the distance of any kind of comeback, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it was Joe Russell at the time was at Lossy, and he'd got in touch and saying, look, need a bit of experience, any chance? I thought, well, do you know what? I maybe will try, attempt. It's on my doorstep. Nothing lost, nothing gained. Nobody's paying for me. There's no risk to this. Got myself in good nick, got myself back on the pitch. Scored against Formartine, scored in the opening 2 games, had a hell of a really good pre-season, better than probably pre-seasons that I'd had before because I put more impetus on trying to look after myself.
Yeah.
Broke down again, and it was just like, this is just 4 or 5 nights a week to get me on the pitch. It's now to the point like the juice just ain't worth the squeeze anymore, if that makes sense. So yeah, 29, 30, I was kind of just like done, and then came back for that failed comeback in 2020, and that was when I was 32. So I'm getting invited to testimonials and things now, and mates that are still playing, and I feel like I've had a hell of a career, but I just crammed it all into this window of being 16 to 29, and now I'm just kind of like, well, look, let's just stick a pin in that and just throwing myself into coaching and just trying to educate myself best I can as a coach, and just hopefully using all this experience to pass on to some of these kids that I'm looking after and trying to just give the best possible start to. And that's pretty much where I'm at.
It's amazing, mate. As you say, testimonials, but a lot of these guys that are having testimonials are younger than you.
That's the point. I know, that's the point. It says inside, how long can you last? Because he's 30. I went, look, I'll get you 15. I'm not confident in that. You get 15 out of me, that's it.
I've just had Squish Monroe playing for Bishop Mill, my welfare team, for the last couple of weeks, just during pre-season.
He's got Aberdeen this weekend. He was texting me and I was like, look, you got 15, Squish, that's it.
It's like, how's this guy? I think he's 39.
Very fit. He's looked after himself. Like, I think the things that people are doing now, everybody's obviously a little bit more health conscious these days and stuff. I think he's kind of always been into that. He's always front the pack pre-season and stuff, and he deserves a testimony. He's a great guy, Squish, but he's always looked after himself.
Yeah, good guy, as you say. Got a good goal for us a few weeks ago.
Did he?
Aye.
That's unheard of.
Right, here's a juicy one, because I know the team. I know bits about this team. Winning the Highland League at Buckie. It's We'll get into this team a little bit, because characters galore.
Mental.
Mental. Well, I suppose we'll start with the big man himself, but like some big Mo to play with.
Do you know what? I like Mo. You probably get the similar kind of assessment of Mo as you do as myself. Acquired taste maybe, but me and Mo got on great. And Mo came in the second year, so he wasn't there for the first title. He came in the second year. And I kind of remember everyone, like, changing room chat saying, well, what's Greg going to do now? How does he go again? How does he add somebody that's going to put people under pressure, raise the bar? And again, you had to be a certain kind of character to walk into that changing room. I've got a few bits and bobs here, but he then produced Mo, Molby, and Biscuits. Mm-hmm. So you're asking for characters. I think he's done quite well to whip that three out the bag, if that makes sense. So, yeah, Mo's good. Mo was brilliant. He's obviously been around, very experienced. Yeah, nothing but good stuff to say about Mo. He was a very good player, and I got on great with him. Obviously, shared the car back and forth, nip in, quick pub, and on the way home for games and stuff like that. Mo came at a good time when we were looking to kick on and go again, that we'd done it once, and how do you freshen it up to go again? And he fitted in perfectly. He was good.
Absolutely. You just mentioned him, Moby. We've had him on here. What a character Moby is.
Good guy, yeah, good.
Really,
I mean,
nice guy as well.
I got on really good with him, and I played a lot with him, to be fair. Really enjoyed playing with him. Again, we'll get on to my 11. He's probably unlucky to miss out, just in the sense that probably just the longevity of how long we crossed paths but yeah, top class. I mean, you think how well he done for Buckie. I think he probably topped that for Devonvale as well. Do you know what I mean? You think of the era I've had here where I can speak nothing but highly about it. He'd kind of done it twice at different clubs. So, yeah, fantastic. And again, another person that kind of came into the group that I don't know, to sign for Greg, you either had to be hard as nails, arrogant as hell, or just he kind of fitted both boxes, didn't he? So
He did.
yeah.
Like we hear a bit of him a manager, but what was Spider like as a player?
Yeah, another good one. I think, again, another kind of character. Probably the leader in that changing room, and there was a few of them, and he was probably, fair to say, he was maybe alpha male would be the fair statement. But I think to win any league, I think you need players in the changing room that are better than that level, if that makes sense. Like if you want to win the juniors, you need people that are probably high league players in there. And I think Spider was one of the few that probably was better than that level. Raven lunatic as well. Sure, he won't mind me saying that. He's absolutely nuts, but he was clever. Don't be fooled by it. He was clever. You can see why he done well at management as well.
Yeah. Davy McRae.
Yeah, probably another one that was probably above the level. Loved the packet of Chris. That's probably what held him back. He's probably a 2 yard short of pace for just rocketing through the leagues, but very talented. Both feet, good passer, could pass people to death, and that he was good. Yeah, very good.
So like we can speak about Kev May, we can speak about Xander and that. If you had to pick one star out of that team, who's the star, Martin? Who's
do you know, it's a cliche answer and I can't even say it, but see the collective in that. It was so like
that's the answer I wanted. That's the answer I wanted.
The dynamic of that group, and I've been in some great change rooms, really trying not to offend anybody. You're asking me about this particular. The dynamic of that group was so good that the arrogance was like I felt that we were going to win the league, and I felt that we were going to win it again, and it was just a matter of like, what's the team going to be rather than are we going to win? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It was just the mentality in that changing room. And I think I look at some managers and I see the first thing that they do is get characters when they take over a changing room. They get characters out the way. I felt like Greg was the opposite. Greg embraced the fact that he had all these like chirpy, arrogant people that were like, I'm going to stick the ball in the net. These people that maybe just wanted to cause a wooden spoon in the chain. He had hard men. I mean, again, he had Spider and Donny, and he added Gary Clark and he added Rob Brown. You're barking mad. You put all these people. Do you know what I mean? It was so it was bonkers. And again, it was training was kind of ran like that as well, in the sense that when we were playing the small-sided games, I cast my mind back to some instance that I still chuckle at, and the small-sided games was, I can't remember if it was 1 and off. If you conceded, your team was off, next team was on. It was 2, and it got hell of a competitive because that's just the way it was, and everyone's natural instinct is that we trained the way that we played. It was really aggressive at times, and I remember Xander and I think it was Louis. Like, it was Xander and Davey or Xander and Louis. I think it was Xander and Louis. We're greeting over a ball, being over the line, to the point hands then got raised, and it's like handbags, and there's a burst lip, and I think Davey McRae, whichever one it was, got involved, and he ended up with a burst lip. So you're kind of looking at it, waiting for Greg to say, "Oi, stop it," and he's just stood there going, "Well, boys, you got to raise your hands to each other, at least make it entertaining. You better finish it," kind of style. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, just thrash it out, and then we can get on with it. So we're then going into the game. Training carries on. It's about half an hour of training, and we're going back in the changing room, and they're still finger pointing at each other, calling each other a baby, and you're a baby, you're a baby, balls of the line, you're a baby. In the showers, you can still hear, no, you're a baby. And then it's dawning on me that that's the 3 boys from Inverness, and I'm getting in the car with them, and they're dropping me at Elgin on the way home for training. So we're in the car, and they're still finger pointing, calling each other a baby. I remember getting out of Elgin with the post office to shut the door, and they're still at it, they're still going at it, and that's just like, that was just normal. Yeah. That was just normal. It was just, and Greg kind of embraced it in the sense that, even the ones that were at Buckie previously, as they've seen maybe an influx of outsiders, shall we say, Marcel came in, Xander came in, like Davey McRae, Lou McKinnon, Franny McMillan, Shuan, Zico, Mara, they still very much remained at the forefront of, like, it was built on them, if that makes sense. Like, they wanted it so bad for Buckie to be successful. Like, rather than being like, oh, you're the new boys, they embraced it. They were actually really good at making it all one big. But again, that 3 in particular, they fell in that category of just being nuts, just being bonkers. And I remember Zico and Greg one half-time having an argument, and they were ranting and raving at each other, and we were actually winning. I think we were 2-0 up, and Greg's going for Zico about his possession and giving the ball away. So they're arguing with each other, and it gets heated, and Greg's offering him outside to take him out in front of all these Buckie fans and leather him on the halfway line and all this kind of. It's kicking off. So Greg reaches for this boiling hot kettle, because he went to throw something, so he reaches for the cup of tea, and he's this massive kettle, and he's way to throw it, and you see like his two assistants like, no. So he moves down the physio bed, and he's way to catch like the 12 bottles of filled water. He's way to strike him like, no. So he gets to the end of his bed, and he gets this pillow, and they're like, yeah, you can throw that. So he throws this pillow at Zico, completely misses, hits Squish in the face, so Squish stands like, what the fuck have I done? Honestly, it was every week there was something that's just going on, and the back of the bus and that as well. It was nuts. It was crazy. And again, it's a game at Turriff. I think Rab Brown was on the ball. And again, I still chuckle about this. He was like, I say driving. Rab didn't really drive anywhere. He kind of stepped in and Rab had the ball. And a Turriff fan said something to him, fat ginger, whatever it was. So he leaves the ball and walks over the sideline towards the pitch. And I can see him pointing, I'm like, what's going on here? So he's walked off the pitch to argue with a Turriff fan. I think it's Darren Mackey or somebody, picks up the ball, drives down the line, crosses it, doesn't have a shot of going. Everyone starts going nuts. I'm away to start. I'm like, it's Rab, I'll leave Mo can tell him about that one. Just leave that for him. And he's off the pitch. Comes into half time, goes, sorry about that, boys. The guy was just winding me up. I'm like,
fuck you gonna do with that?
Bonkers, man, honestly. Bonkers. But
it's the reason you win titles, though, isn't it?
We kind of bullied our way through the league, and we had people that could put it in the back of the net, and we had wingers like Xander and Pelly that could put things to the people that could put it in the back of the net. But Greg embraced the characters, and it made for an eventful back of a bus and an eventful night out. And yeah, I look back on that with nothing but fond times. It kind of contributed well over 60. I was looking last night at well over 60 goals in that period over the time I was there.
Yeah,
goals on big occasions, and just I think one thing I can't, before we get off of this era, one thing I can't step over without mentioning it is Mark and Murray Duncan off the pitch had so much right that it just allowed Greg and the players to get on with what was on the pitch.
Yes.
Like they put so much into the hospitality lounge. They put so much into like if my mum was to come through to a game, or your people's partners were going to come through to a game, they got into a little lounge with teas, cakes, coffees, to the point that like it wasn't a hindrance for your family to come and be a part of it. So players weren't complaining about, I'm away for the wife and kids again, even though I'm injured and stuff. Like they got a lot right off of it, and probably deserved a lot of credit as to why Greg and the players were able to get a lot of it so right on it, if that made sense. So they deserve a lot of credit. And if you read their book, they speak really fondly of that team, of my contribution during that time. And it's, yeah, I've got nothing but good things just to say about that changing room, that group, and the fact that it was so aggressive and it just pushed each other on. It was a really good team, and back to back obviously signalled that.
Yeah. Okay, so I always try and do as much research as I can on people and find out, speak to people that have played with
How
people.
deep have you gone? Yeah.
It's not too deep, Martin, but
Okay.
the general assessment I've got for the couple of people I spoke to is you were never going to be a 30 goal a season guy, but if you want a 90th minute winner, or you want a winner in a cup final or a fucking important game, Martin's probably your guy who's going to get the goal for you. Would you agree with that assessment?
I've heard a lot of that. I've heard a lot of people in here speaking very highly of me, and obviously the Duncan's book and things like that. And it wasn't planned and anything like that. I would suggest that when you look at the evidence, the pieces within the puzzle, that would add up. I think I got 21 season for Buckie, and I got 18 another season, and then there was maybe like a 16 and a 17 or something. And I wasn't always fit. I think the ratio maybe suggested that was probably capable of maybe breaking that kind of numbers, but it just never materialised because of availability and injuries.
Yeah.
The big game player tag, it kind of landed like that in a sense that the kind of player that I was is I never really got the ball down, done 12 step overs, gone by two people myself and stuck it in the top corner. So I relied on service. I was very good at keeping the ball for the team. I suggest that the body language and the way your teammates speak about you maybe suggested that you could give me the ball from deep, from close. I was a very good wall pass. I could keep it. And a lot of my goals, when you look back at them, because they're on DVD with Buckie that I found yesterday, again, looking through some of the stats, a lot of them are headers, the things across the face in the box, the first time finishes, that I was very, very lucky I played in teams that gave me very, very good service. And I suggest maybe when you play Strasbourg, Fort William, people maybe use you as a decoy. They come inside and shoot rather than using you as but in the big games, it was like, let's get it done. And I got that much good service that I was just maybe the recipient of being able to put it in the back of the net. So I appreciate that tag, and I've heard a lot of people on here saying that was the man to go to in the big game. That's nice to hear, and I understand why. The 2 title winning seasons, Bo'ness was probably my favourite one.
Mm-hmm.
Down at Bo'ness, it was a full house, probably just as big a crowd, if not bigger than the title decider. Scored 2 in that game, won 2-0. I understand it, and I get it, and I really appreciate it, but I didn't do anything different than trying to play against Strathspey and Fort William. I suggest that I just liked playing against the best. My goal record against Cove, Fraserburgh, Devon Vale is a lot better than it was against Fort William, Strathspey, and I don't know why that is, but it just landed that way for me.
Would you have chose, like, if you get a choice, would you rather be the big game player, or would you rather be putting 35, 40 a season away?
Big game player, because I still ended up round about, it's not like it was like just 2, 3 or 4. I still ended up like round about the 20 mark and that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, from in preparation of coming on here, pulling all that stuff out the loft yesterday, there was no two-page spreads for anybody that got 5 against Strathspey, but I got all the paper cuttings because I got all the big moments. So I'll take that, mate. Yeah. So I wouldn't change any of it. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't change any of it. And like I'm saying to the kids that I'm coaching, see these away days. I mean, I took the kids down to Blackpool not long ago, and they've done particularly well. And we've been to Dundee, we've been to Tyne, been to Peterhead, and that. See these wee trips that you're having and the journey that you're on. You sometimes need to take a minute just to stop and enjoy it and embrace it, because it's the people that you're doing these things with. And again, there's highs in here, forest mechanics being lows and things like that in here, but I wouldn't change any of it the way it landed. No. I just wish it had gone for longer. I just wish I never had that injuries, that I could have still been playing, because you can't replace that feeling.
Yeah.
Ball hitting the back of the net, and if you've got a decent crowd and a cheer and thinking, you can try, but you can't replace that feeling.
No, definitely. You can't put a price on it, mate. You really can't. So a sponsor. Got a sponsor.
About time.
Yeah, about time. Thank you to Chris Foot, Elgin City director, Elgin City women's team director, for sponsors for the season. You're going to be hearing Chris Foot a hell of a lot over the next year.
Yes, in the words of former guest Chris Saunderson, if it moves, Chris Foot can get it sponsored.
Yep. And this podcast is definitely moving in the right direction.
See, this is good advertisement right now.
So yeah, Chris is going to be coming to an episode as well.
Entering the sweepstakes of who's been in the studio on all podcasts that are produced in here.
Yeah, because it's a running one between
you,
myself, Dom,
Matty Slinger, Chris Saunderson. I know he kind of hosts 2 of them, but
Chris Foot.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of like, let's just say, pimping ourselves out to podcasts. But yeah, Chris will be on to speak about Elgin City Women, Man City, unfortunately for Ryan.
Well,
but
it was looking like it was going to go horribly right, didn't it? But now it's kind of looking like it's going down.
To be fair to Chris, he's a Man City fan since like the 80s.
Yeah, so he's been at like York and the Paul Dickov playoff final and all that stuff.
Down in like the 3rd division and stuff like that. So he's a proper Man City fan. So thank you to Chris Foot for sponsoring us for the year. You'll be seeing his name all over our posts, all over our social media, hearing his name a lot in the podcast, but it's for a good reason, because he's helping us keep the lights on at the Lighthouse Podcast Studio. Right, so with goal scorers, I don't ask this question to everyone. I think I've asked this to Moby, asked this to like some Martin Stewart and that. I try to break down the next question in 2 parts, because you can have your best goal, where everyone thinks, oh, you've hit one for 35 yards, or you've skinned 3 boys, or you've taken one out there for 40 yards and hit it first time. What would you consider the best goal you've scored, Martin? Just from like maybe a viewer's point of view.
Again, wasn't many that nice on the eye. However, again, in preparation of this, looking over stuff last night, there was one against Cove Rangers at home. And it was right about that time that stupid trend was out where people were planking and lying on top of stuff, because I remember doing that as my celebration, because there's a photo of Xander stood right on top of me as I'm lying flat in the middle of the pitch. But there's one against Cove at home, and it got played down what would have been the right back and centre-half channel, and I got down the side of them, and it was outside the box, and it was on my left foot, and it just bounced to the point that there was nobody in the middle. Again, I wasn't quick. I was never going to go and try and take on the 2 centre-half, so I just hit it nice and early across him on the half volley, and I went right across Stuart McKenzie. Another very good goalkeeper, by the way. I went right across Stuart McKenzie, and he was at full stretch, which made it look even better. And I went in the far side, and we won 1-0. And I remember around about that time, looking at the paper cuttings and stuff, we kind of felt like it had maybe signalled that we were then the ones being chased rather than doing the chasing. So it had a lot behind it as well. But it's probably one of the few that was not 10 yards out. Yeah. So I like that one, to be fair.
What's your personal favourite goal you've scored?
The one up at Wick when we won the league the first time, and I scored 2 up at Wick that day, and we won the title the first time round. That was a good place to win it because the bus was a shambles coming home. Keeper come out, and again it got played down the right channel this time. I think it was Davy McRae actually slipped it down the side, and it bobbled and bounced, and the keeper had come out, and it just sat up nicely, and I just lifted it over him, and it never bounced before it went in. It just landed just perfectly weighted in it. So it was a chip, and it was over. Again, that's probably the 2 that were outside the box, to be fair. So there you go. That's it.
Because I asked that to someone, they're like, well, it's the same question. Like, it's not, it's a very different question.
That's the best one because it was a left foot and it had a very tight angle and it was quite far out. And that one was my favourite just because it was a different kind of goal to what I usually score.
So kind of going back to 2 questions previous and a little bit to, what do you reckon is the most important goal you've scored, Martin? That's one I've not asked you. Because you've had a few title deciders, a few late goals.
Yeah, I think you've answered it there in the sense that we needed a draw with the Devon Vale. I mean, people's probably heard about this. The Bowness ones were nice. I did like the Bowness ones. But the Devon Vale decider, just because it was last day, it was winner takes all. It was all or nothing. Big game again, as people keep referring to in here for me. We only needed a draw. And to be honest with you, I probably should have had another one straight after it. I hit the post, and it was probably an easier finish. And I hit the post with it. This one actually went round Blanchard and just rolled it in. So I'd say that's the most important one because it then set the stage for Andy to go and get the free kick. So there was a lot riding on that. So I'd say that's the most important. And it was a full house. So I think it was well over 2,000, 2,500 people at that one. So nice feeling when that goes in. There's a good noise in that as well.
Absolutely. Right, so I'm trying to figure out, you're talking maybe a 16, probably longer, but a good 16-year career of adult football, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you reckon was the best period of your career? We'll go for maybe a 2-year period.
It's hard to see past that Buckie days, mate. It really was.
Confident in that.
That was the word for it. I just felt like everything that I'd done as a kid and developing as a youth player and getting all this coaching and again learning on the job at Elgin, everything just kind of took to there where it was a matter of, look, this doesn't have to be pretty, but this just has to get the job done. And again, I felt like I contributed significantly in getting the job done. It was hard to look past that, and I met some great guys as well. Again, I'm going about that changing room, but it was very enjoyable. And we travelled with the Scottish Cup, and I mean, Molby and Spider fighting against East Stirling away. They had a punch up in the middle of the pitch. It was nuts. I've used that word a couple of times. It was bonkers. Donny Monroe, back of the bus from Wick, he had this stupid triangle patch of hair on his back, just like an island, just isolated. We set it on fire on the back of the bus coming home from Wick after winning the league. It grew back in just in time after Devonville, and we set it on fire again. Looking at that, how did you get away with some of the stuff that went on in that change room? So I'll just, easy answer, maybe a bit of a cop-out, but I'll just go back to that.
And I kind of keep going back to it, but that Buckie players, much as they were nuts and much as they were all confident, all good players as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You could have named... The fear of that is that when you lost your place in that team, the fear how Greg used it to his advantage was, you better not drop your standards, because not only are you looking what's on the bench, you were looking what wasn't stripped, sat up in the stands, and you kind of go there before you get back there again. To get back there, it's like, so you've got it, you grab a hold of it and you keep it, because it could be a while before you're back in again.
Absolutely. Right, so just to sum up your questions, what's your proudest achievement in your footballing career? So far. We'll go for so far, because it's still early in your coaching and things. You never know.
Yeah, do you know what, again, bit of a cop-out, bit of a cliche answer, but all of it, just wouldn't regret it. I mean that, there's not many people that get the opportunity to play Highland League football, certainly not with as many good players. I was privileged to play with some of these guys, some of these names that I share a changing room with were unbelievable. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been or went on to be full-time at Highland League, and it was a privilege to play with some of these guys. Not many people got to play in Division 3 or league football for the local team. Not many people got to sample a taste of full-time football, 3 weeks in Austria with Cali and that. I mean, I wouldn't change any of it. I regret how I handled certain situations in some places, but I regret none of it. So my proudest achievement is just that, and I just wish it had been for longer, mate. That was all.
Great answer. As you say, to get to a level, the work that goes into that, like
I sacrificed a lot. Your Friday nights, your nights in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
rehab, the injuries, like nobody worked harder than me. There was better players than me, but nobody worked harder than me.
I like that answer, Martin. Okay, if you're enjoying listening to us, you want to watch us, get yourself on Patreon. We've got to change up the Patreon in the next few weeks. There'll be a word on how that's changing. But our video episodes are going to start going up on YouTube. I want YouTube to start paying me money, so the more views on there, the better. But give us a wee 5-star rating. I've got 250 followers on Spotify. I think I've got 50 ratings, and it helps people find me. I'm actually getting recommended by like bigger podcasts, but it means if somebody's on a bigger podcast, maybe get recommended our podcast. It goes full circle in that sense. Right, Martin? 11 time.
Mm-hmm. This was tough, by the way. I could have
always
probably
is.
named you 3 11s, and I'm probably going to do some disservice to some boys, but I'm not going to try and name them all that I've missed out because I'll be here all night. I've hung my hat on this 11, and we'll just go with it. Yeah,
that's what happens. Somebody's got to miss out.
I'll say 12. I've bottled the first answer already by putting 2 goalies in. Like.
To be fair, two top class goalies. So I'll read through it and then we'll pick it apart. In goals, we've got Kev Main and Minnie.
Mm-hmm. Definitely scoring if the both of them are in.
No, not a chance. Even Minnie himself, he's just a machine. Alan Dempsey at right back, Scott Henry centre back, Big Mo centre back. Christ, there'll be another 11 he's in. Kev Flett left back, Coco right of centre. It's like a 4-3-3 you're playing. Right of centre mid was Coco. Spider through the middle, Davy McRae on the left of the centre, and then the front 3 of Biscuits, Martin Johnson and Xander Sutherland.
Pick the bones out of that.
Where do you start? I suppose we'll start. I think Kev Main is by far the most mentioned goalie on here, boys.
I think the thing that, again, this is all relevant to my time with these people. I mean, top of my head, Mark McMullen, we crossed paths at Lossy for such a small window. I wouldn't expect to be in his team any more than he'd be in mine just because it was such a small time. Mark Chisholm came to Buckie.
Yeah.
Such a small window together. Nothing but respect for 2 names like that. Paul Napier, probably hard done by. But there's people that, I mean, Gary McGowan at Huntly, what a player, by the way. And again, it's just such a small crossover a period that these are people that through this career left a lasting impression on me from our time playing together. Not necessarily saying it's what a team anyone else would pick, but this is a team that I felt when I played with them, they were just there. So goalie-wise, I struggle with the 2 of them, purely in the sense that Kev Main, ultra consistent. I actually, when I was looking at this last night and I kept changing between the 2 keepers, I can't think of a mistake that I seen Kev Main make. I can't think of one moment where he spread confusion or worry amongst his back line. And I genuinely just think he's probably one of the most consistent players that I've played with.
Yeah.
Minnie, on the other hand, was probably under a little bit more pressure at Lossy than Kev. I never played with Minnie at Lossy really for long. Again, that crossover kind of period. But his Devonvale form, he won Player of the Year 2 years in a row in a Devonvale team that wasn't under the cosh.
Yeah.
So it tells you what the kind of things he must have been doing to get Player of the Year in a team that wasn't getting battered every week, if that makes sense. So,
can you be the third person that can confirm to me that he warms up by throwing a football off a wall?
He's a maniac. He'd have fit in at Buckie. He's a maniac as well. But again, other keepers, Stuart McKenzie briefly, Elgin Youth, Joe Mallon briefly at Elgin, Stuart Knight, a lot of football. Knight he's probably hard done by in there, but senior level football, that's the 2, and I couldn't separate them for one was the sublime and one was ultra consistent.
Absolutely. Kev Flett is his second 11 in a row. Kev's actually made because he was in the Archbolds 11.
Okay. Kev, left probably, so he's in at left back, probably not where he wants to be. But it's a wee tip of my cap just to that 1 year I had at Lossy with a very, very good team. And what I liked about Fletty was he worried about the whole changing room. He didn't just worry about himself. He wouldn't, the key man on the opposition team, he'd be like, right, he's mine. I'll deal with him. He took a lot of pressure off of young people around him.
Yep.
He probably played in some good Lossy teams. He certainly played in some poor Lossy teams, and he was always one of the first names to play, stood front and centre. bit like Mo, chipped in with a lot of penalty goals, a lot of headers. He had probably a decent kind of goal return for a defender as well. And I know for a fact he had other opportunities to go somewhere else, and he just didn't until at the very end when he wanted to go and give the Turriff thing a try, which he'd more than earned the right to do it. So you'd have Flatty in the trenches with you, and he's got a left foot and obviously adds a bit of height and some goals and stuff. And again, you felt better at Lossy when he was playing than when he wasn't.
Absolutely. We'll go back to him again, I suppose. It's like, cause I'd probably hate you, batter me if I didn't. Big Mo. How often did you hear Big Mo's ball in training when you're playing?
I don't know, but I'm just looking at it just now thinking, fucking Mo and Flatty doing that side. Anyone with a bit of pace were in trouble. There's a few diagonals getting played there as well. There's 0 passes getting put in. 0 passes going into midfield with that too. Mo was good.
You read the game very well.
He was aggressive and that, but he was only aggressive when he needed to be, because he tried to stay 2 or 3 steps ahead. He read it very, very, very well. I never got himself. He actually got sent off against Nairn. He got sent off against me, whipping me down at Nairn because he was too slow for me actually, and he kind of whipped me down from behind. But he very seldom got himself into a foot race because he knew where he should be. If that makes sense. Yeah, so he was good. Horrible shape of a man, to be fair, but he was a good, very good.
And you mentioned, is it Scotty Fraser that missed out?
Scotty Fraser was close again.
Yeah. I think Mo will take that because Scotty Fraser
Scotty Fraser's brilliant, and I probably played with Scotty Fraser a bit longer than Mo, just because of when Mo came to Buckie was year 2. Scotty Fraser had been at Vale a long time, but I'll give it to Mo again, just purely because of where that road ended up and what we've done together.
Absolutely. Scott Henry.
Yeah, so you're on about Mo being a horrible shape.
Yeah.
This is one big, handsome centre-half. If this guy had made it, he'd have been like Nivea Men adverts and getting all the aftershave gigs. And he was a modern-day centre-half before that was even a thing. Like big, 6'2", handsome, white boots, stepped in, could pass a football, could read a game. He's another one that I felt was always playing at 80% fit. He was coming back from an injury, and it's like, if I don't make it this week, I'll be fine next week. But he would play with things taped up, play with things strapped up. And I would love to have seen him if he had like Squish's conditioning. And he'd always been fit, because I feel like he went on to Formartine, he went on to Fraserburgh, and he had a decent career. I felt he could have gone to like Elgin, could have gone to Peterhead, and he was so young at a time when he was playing alongside Scotty Fraser. Right foot balance. He made being a centre half look fashionable. He was a cool guy, and he was a very, very cool player. But if it got meaty, he could tackle on that as well. Yeah,
Alan Dempsey, like, it's not a name I've heard for Elgin for years. Like,
probably just when I came from the Cali thing and I came there, I just felt like he was a model pro. He was right foot, left foot, could play right back. He probably played left back more than he did right back with his, to be honest. But again, when manager spoke, he used to watch him, just sat and listened, took it all in, and he obviously went on to Ayr United and played higher and stuff, but just fond memories of just how he conducted himself. And again, probably had a lot of offers to play closer at home, but remained loyal to Elgin for quite a while, and I thought he was a hell of a fullback, to be fair.
Okay. So midfield 3, Coco going to be happy playing in centre mid?
If he wants to play in that team, he's got to Daisy's down, isn't he?
To be fair, he's not getting into the right over biscuits up top, like, but Coco, so I think Archibald's described him as, when he was younger, he had no pace and a decent first touch, and he lost his first touch and he gained the pace.
Yeah, he's again, we only played together at Devon Vale, and it was just for that Devon Vale form alone. Very unselfish. Probably, trying to think of a competition, probably the quickest player I've played with. He was like frighteningly quick. I don't know how he got that, because I was never quick. He maybe got handed my pace as well or something, I don't know. But he was good. So like I say, him and Graham Watt's another one that probably feels a little bit hard done by. Either side of me in that 4-3-3 at Vale just suited the two of them. And yeah, I'm not going to say too much about Coco. He's had enough praise, but he was good there.
As you mentioned before, he could have played at higher level. Spider.
Really good.
Yeah.
Leader, bullied games, bullied refs, bullied opposition. He just knew how to get the job done. Typical kind of Greg Carroll player. He was hideous on the eye and hideous to play, but my boy, he could play. Like, he was good. He was really good.
Another Greg Carroll player, Davy McRae, like, just
technically very good. He's again, if he was probably a little bit quicker, I think teams in the Highland League would have struggled to keep a hold of him. I think he was fantastic. Scored a few screamers from distance and that as well. Like, just easy on the eye with the technique and the passing and that. Very good.
Now, I'm going to put my hat out and say probably one of the most criminally underrated players of the last 20 years in the Highland League in biscuits. I just don't think he gets the credit. I get he's a former Highland League Player of the Year and things like that, but
when I wrote down Biscuits and I listened to the way that other people speak about him, like bit of an enigma, bit off the cuff, bit rough and ready and that, I'm sure Biscuits won't mind me saying, is he probably produced his best stuff for Lossy than he did for anyone else. I'm sure that won't come as a surprise to anybody. And in some cases, it was more maybe like the poorer the Lossy team, the better the Biscuits. But make no mistake, he's in here because for all the coaching and the clubs I had, and he was more like Lossy, learn on the job as you kind of go. He knew where to be, and what I enjoyed about him is you could get a lot of link up where I could let the ball through me and I'd already start my run knowing I was going to get it back, and he would do vice versa, where it was like a little tickle around the corner, you'd kind of get it back, play a little 1-2. So you don't get that if you don't know football. And yeah, he was an enigma. Yeah, he was a bit off the cuff. Yeah, you maybe couldn't second guess what he was going to go, but don't be fooled. He was a very clever footballer and he knew patterns of play. He knew how to play in a system and that as well. But there's no doubt he produced his best stuff when it was like just being off the cuff. But he was very clever, and you can see why he got a chance at Buckie in a game at Vale and that. But he was particularly good for Lossy. But I've kind of got him down here for the wee Lossy period that we had together and the Buckie period.
Yeah. Xander, just how many goals do you think Xander set up for you?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I seem to remember, again, just going through that cuttings and that last night, quite a few against the Vale and stuff where he whipped a nice cross to the front post and stuff. A very nice balance, Xander. Again, I don't want to go on too much because no doubt I'll regret saying this, but he was fantastic. He was very low centre of gravity, very easy on the eye with the white boots and the blonde. You could see why he was a fan's favourite and stuff, but he wasn't selfish with it. He was very much a team player, and if there was someone in a better position for a tap-in or something, he would do it, and he knew the kind of greater good in that. But yeah, fantastic, really good.
And then big MJ up front. It's a bit old school striker, isn't he?
Yeah, he was. But again, I was probably more like in awe of him than anything for the short period that we played together. He was particularly good with me. I hear Roscoe the other day and a couple of other people going on about like doing my running and moving. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's because of how genius he was. He was making runs that forced me to kind of make that run because he wanted to occupy the middle kind of slot and stuff. And a lot of what he done was like less is more. You don't have to go charging around like a bull in a china shop, just 2 yards here. Just open your body and take it on the back foot in this position. And you don't have to like wrestle and fight. Again, all these people that I've put down here is because they're quite intelligent and they know football, and that makes sense. So MJ was obviously the main man at Elgin when I got there, left the main man, and he obviously went to Peterhead, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it was brilliant. MJ was brilliant, and I learned a lot of him, and he was particularly good with me as a youngster who had just been released and came in and learning. He treated me properly, and he was a good guy.
You felt you were in good hands with him as well. You know, he could look after himself.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
If you had to pick a coach throughout your career to take that team, who you picking? You're not going to pick your dad, are you?
No, because no matter what I done, he wouldn't have said well done anyway. So, with that team, it would have policed itself on the pitch. To be honest, I don't know. I think my wife could have took that team and they would have won the league. It's that team's that good, but.
And Greg probably the only one.
I'll have a cop out. I'll say Greg as manager with my dad assisting him. If that too probably deserve credit, but I've got a lot to thank Stevie Campbell for it. Callie as well. I really speak highly of him. He's good. That's the three that I would mention. So I'm gonna cop out of that question, I'm afraid, and just say Greg can be the manager and them two can be his assistants.
Brilliant. Okay, so before we get in the last question, thank you very much for your time, Mark. It's been
all right. Thanks for having me. It's been nice with the testimonial and this week reminiscing a little bit and stuff.
It's been good because we've kind of tied this in fine. You were part of the testimonial that Archibald's were in last episode. The testimonial kind of landed in the middle of it and things like that. And then obviously I know your brother and things.
Yeah.
Football season starting back up. You know, everyone's. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, just because it just feels a million miles away. So it was nice this week, pulling things out to check dates and double check I had things right and stuff. It was a nice chance to reminisce. So thanks for asking me on it. Appreciate it.
No worries. Do you get a chance? Something maybe I don't ask people, man. Do you get a chance? Do you ever look back at your medals and things and think?
I try not to, so that when you do, it carries a little bit of, remember that. It was my dad that said, keep it all. He says, keep it all. At the very, very, very least, if you never look at it, it's there.
Yeah.
So I've kept a lot. I've got all my shirts, all my tops, newspaper cuttings, programs. I've kind of collected stuff. I've got a lot. So it came out last night just to check dates. It was nice to look at it. It'll go back into cold storage again until the next time somebody wants to ask me about it. So
Good man, brilliant. Always finish off with the same question, Martin.
yeah,
If you have a penalty to save your life that needs scored, who takes the penalty?
to save my life.
Yeah.
Me. I don't trust anybody else. I'll do it myself.
Okay. Good conversion rate in your career?
Yeah, putt against Forest. Yeah. Yeah.
Top man. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Good man. Cheers, mate.
The Football Journals is now on Patreon. If you sign up on Patreon for just £5 a month, you can get access to our upcoming guests and the chance to ask your own questions, the ability to watch our podcast with full video exclusive, audio only on all other platforms. You can get your episodes earlier than anyone else, sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, but you will get your episodes earlier than everyone else. Chance to request guests of your choice. We will do them our utmost to get them on the show, if obviously within reason. I can't go asking Cristiano Ronaldo on the show. And one bonus episode per month. There's already a bonus episode on there. You'll get a further bonus episode every month. Sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J. That's sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J.